Hello, everyone from Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you're all doing very well. We're going to be talking about the Fulham game, the upcoming Fulham game, and everything that's sort of surrounding Chelsea at the moment. So this is like an update and a preview all at once, looking at everything. There's no shortage of topics to go through with Chelsea. As always, if you haven't already, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. And let me know in the comments where you think Chelsea are going to finish at the end of the season. And what do you think the score will be when we do play against Fulham? Now, my opinion is, honestly, I just don't see how we beat Fulham. I don't see it. And I'm going to give you reasons as to why. And we're going to break down the threats that Fulham pose and also some of the things that Chelsea have going on in terms of things going swaying in our favour and things that maybe not so much when you really read into it. Obviously, our recent record is not great over the past sort of 5 games. We drew against Brentford. We did beat Warsaw away in the Conference League. We drew against Ipswich. We thought that was going to be a guaranteed win. And then we played our strongest starting 11 against Warsaw in the second leg of the Conference League. We managed to get through on aggregate with a 4-2 win over the 2 legs, but we lost 2-1 at the bridge. So when people say they're confident going into this Fulham game, I just ask openly, where do you get that confidence from? What is it about this fixture that you believe Chelsea have the upper hand on? I think we can all agree that possession is a clear factor, but possession doesn't win you matches. Ultimately, you need a little bit more than possession to get anything out of these games. We've also got Everton coming up, Liverpool, Newcastle United, and Nottingham Forest to finish it off in the Premier League. That's not including our trip to Sweden for Djurgården. I don't know if I pronounced that properly, in the Conference League. So I'm struggling to see many results in the Premier League. If we can't beat Ipswich, then I struggle to see how we beat Fulham. Now, looking at Fulham as a whole, as an outfit, there are a number of things that you can look at to try and define, maybe whether we could get something out of this game. They've got a couple of injuries, not many. 2 main injuries at the moment. Reece Nelson, who's got a thigh injury, and Harry Wilson, who's had an ankle problem. But it seems like he probably will be available for the game against us. So it's a good chance Harry Wilson does play. But Reece Nelson's ruled out of this match. From a Chelsea perspective, I mean, I don't really understand the thought process as to who we're playing or why we're playing players, because we had such a strong starting 11 on Thursday. We started Cucurella, we started Tosin, we started Reece James in the midfield, we started Cole Palmer, we started Nicholas Jackson. So we played some really important players in a competition that really we should have won with our B team at that particular leg. And now I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, well, what's the plan here? Like, where are we going to try and beat Fulham? What was the strategy on Thursday to give us the foundations for success, coming into this match at Craven Cottage? We know that Reece James probably won't play now because he played on Thursday and he's only supposed to be playing once every 7 days. And that immediately confuses me, because I think I would have always thought he would have prioritized the Premier League over the Conference League. But it doesn't seem like that is the case. I genuinely think at this point there's an argument to say that Maresca is prioritizing the Conference League over the Premier League. Is that because we've dropped too many points in the Premier League? Is that because the Conference League is so important? Is that because we just don't believe as a club, or the manager believes that we can achieve Champions League football through the Premier League? I don't know. The reality is that it's plateauing, isn't it? And I do feel like we're seeing Chelsea regress now, which is what I've said for a number of months. We have been getting worse and we are not improving. Players aren't improving. And they just don't look to have any sort of creativity or togetherness or chemistry. It seems very forced, everything that I'm seeing right now. And listen, if we're gonna get a result against Fulham, that's going to be huge for us. I am writing us out of a top 5 finish, but if I'm being hopeful and we do get something out of this, then on paper we can still qualify for the Champions League. But I don't know. I mean, we did beat Fulham last year. We beat them 2-0. Broha got a goal and so did Mudryk. That was a great game to watch. The year before, we ended up losing to Fulham with Graham Potter. That's when João Felix made his debut and he got a red card. So we've had plenty of interesting occasions at Fulham in previous years. I'm not sitting here saying it's a bogey team for us, but also at the same time, it's not really an easy game. Now, if we look at Fulham and what they've actually done over the past sort of month or so, what's their record been like? This is since the beginning of April. They lost to Arsenal. They beat Liverpool, lost to Bournemouth. So that's April. Before then, they beat Spurs, lost to Brighton. They did well in the FA Cup, beat Wolves, lost to Palace. So it's kind of like win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. And by that logic, seeing as though they've just lost to Bournemouth, Chelsea are next in line to lose just by that pattern. I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything like that, so we won't read too much into it. In terms of the Premier League table as a whole, I think that there's obviously a different level, a different expectation at both clubs, but not actually an awful lot separating the two at this point in the season. Chelsea sitting in 6th, Fulham 9th. We're on 54 points, only 6 points ahead of Fulham. And again, you can see they've lost and they've won and they've lost and they've won and they've lost. We have had a slightly more mixed bag. Win, lose, win with 2 draws. Undefeated in our last 3, if you want to get technical. Look, we're under so much pressure to get into these Champions League spots, but I do think Fulham are probably eyeing up, a Conference League spot or Europa League spot. It is within touching distance. And I'm looking at Chelsea. If I was a Fulham fan or a Fulham player, and I'm saying this is the best time to play them. What have Chelsea done to threaten opposition in recent games? We've been very predictable. You know exactly what the manager's going to do. You know where the majority of players are going to play. We've got our best players playing out of position at times. Reece James is a midfielder. You've got Palmer playing as a 10 when I would argue he's probably better on the right-hand side. Jackson already played on Thursday. I think he will start against Fulham. I'd be very surprised if he didn't. I think most of the players, the starting players that played against Walsall will end up playing on Sunday, bar Reece James. So Cucurella as normal. Tossing, I mean, he wasn't great against Walsall. Maybe he needs to be dropped. I'm just not seeing many options, Carl. I'm not seeing many options and thinking, right, you're the player. You're going to help Chelsea win this game. We need a collective effort. But if you can't get an effort collectively, if you can't get enough quality as a group, then you need to rely on individuals. And that's what we relied on last season. This season, don't get me wrong, like you still look at players like Cole Palmer, and obviously there's a lot of individual quality. In all competitions, he's played 38 games. And, he's got 14 goals, 9 assists. So let's not act like the guy's not contributing whatsoever. But he's been put in a role where he's been asked to be more creative, where I believe he should be in, a position where he can carry the team from a goal-scoring perspective. Has he missed chances? Yes. But I also think that the way that the team is set up isn't necessarily beneficial to Cole Palmer as an individual. And the system's clearly not working as it stands. So I want us to lean on our best players to be successful. And to do that, you have to adapt. I've heard what Leicester fans were saying about Maresca last season when they slipped down the table. They were talking about how he did actually change his style of play right at the end just to get them over the line. And it did actually work for them. But I don't think we're at that stage. I think he's going to continue doing what he always does. Sanchez in goal. James won't be in defence. You'll probably see Gusto again, Cucurella, Colwell, maybe Chalobah, Enzo Caicedo in the midfield, Palmer as a 10 on the right-hand side. Wouldn't be surprised if I saw Sancho or Neto, one of them. And then if there is one surprise, I think there's a good chance we could see Tyreek George on the left. But again, not 100% sure. Jackson up top. Threats for Fulham. They have a number of threats. One of their biggest threats is actually their left back, Anthony Robinson, who's got 10 assists this season in the Premier League. Loves whipping in a ball. Just not suited to what we're doing at all, because we know Maresca doesn't like overlapping fullbacks. But I love the way that Fulham utilise Robinson. I love his energy. I know we were linked with him at one point. If we were still playing that way, like we did when we had Chilwell, when we had players like Marcus Alonso, I'd be all for it in signing a player like that. But not suited to what we're doing whatsoever. So he's got 10 assists. Traore's another player that we should certainly be fearful from in terms of his pace, his skill. He's not got a ridiculous amount of GA. 6 assists, only got 2 goals. But yeah, everyone talks about these players and then they end up scoring against us, don't they? So Iwobi as well, Pereira, Raul Jimenez has 10 goals. Iwobi 8. Muniz, their other striker, 8 goals. Smith Rowe as well. And Harry Wilson could be back on top of that. So a number of threats from a Fulham perspective. I do not underestimate this team. I do not underestimate Fulham, and I don't think you should be underestimating Fulham either. We should be looking at Fulham as a genuine challenge, a genuine threat, which is what I believe they are, to be quite frank. I think that it's going to be a long day for us, to be totally honest. I'm not going to sit here and say we're going to get smashed or we're going to lose. Wouldn't surprise me. But if you were asking me to predict straight off the back, I really predict that we'll probably draw this game. 1-1 is probably a realistic result from a Chelsea perspective. We've already drawn 2 of our past games anyway, so it wouldn't surprise me. Here's an interesting stat for you. Chelsea have scored just 3 goals in the past 8 away games. We've drawn 3 and we've lost 5. That's according to BBC Sports. So when we look at goal threats, where is the goals coming from? Are they coming from Cole Palmer? Are they coming from Nicholas Jackson? Where are the goals coming from? And that seems to be a real concern. So again, this is where I say you need to just adapt your system a little bit. Compromise on the way you want to play for the benefit of the team, because we know that the team is not playing well as a collective. So give Palmer that extra bit of freedom. Allow him to drift onto the right-hand side. Put players in their natural positions. Make Reece James, if you were to play him, I know he's not going to play on Sunday, but in other games, for example, put him as a right back because he is a right back. Now, these are very basic things that we can do to try and salvage our season. So that's not a great stat to hear from. Unfortunately, when I say that, it actually gets even worse. Chelsea, can't believe I'm even saying this. We are the only Premier League team without an away win in 2025. Let me repeat that. We are the only Premier League team without a win in 2025. Just to recap some of those results. We drew away at Crystal Palace 1-1. We lost away at City 3-1. We lost away at Brighton 3-0 in the Premier League. That's not counting the FA Cup either. We lost away at Aston Villa 2-1. We lost away at Arsenal 1-0. Drew against Brentford 0-0. And that is our Premier League away form in 2025. Embarrassing. So do I think that we're going to have this massive shift in momentum? No. And listen, I respect anyone who believes we can get something out of these results. Obviously, everyone's entitled to their opinion. I just think you're wrong. And I've been banging on about this for however long, about how I don't trust this manager. he hasn't been given help either. Like I appreciate that the sporting directors have let him down, and the ownership ultimately make the structure in which everyone has to work within. The structure doesn't work. So we're failing at all levels. And from a player perspective, we lack leadership, we lack quality, we lack composure, we lack grit. And those aren't usually words. That's not a way I would usually describe Chelsea. I'd usually describe Chelsea using much more flattering terms, much more positive words. It's just difficult to see where the wins are coming from. So yeah, that's where I stand on this one, guys. Again, my prediction, I'm going to say 1-1. I won't say a loss, but I struggle to see where we get the win from. We'll have Sanchez back in goal. Jorgensen was poor on Thursday against Warsaw. Kind of goes to show where he hasn't been playing. But at least if we would have known that a couple of months ago, like, we wouldn't be having this discussion about how bad Sanchez is, and complaining that he keeps playing. We're almost aware now that, well, Jorgensen's not great either. So we're just stuck with Sanchez. Not that I should be happy about that anyway. So there you go, guys. That's the latest in terms of previewing the game. In terms of some of the latest Chelsea news as well, just a little roundup. Chris Sutton is a pundit who used to actually play for Chelsea. He's come out and said that he actually would prefer Liam Delap to join Chelsea over Victor Osimhen. What a strange way of looking at it. But he says, I know Osimhen is a talented player. That's my only worry about Osimhen, is whether he has that sort of hunger anymore. With Delap, I see a young, hungry player, so I'd take Delap over Osimhen. My opinion on that is no. You always take Osimhen over Delap. The only reason that you go the other way and you end up going to Ipswich and paying 30 million is if you are priced out of the move to Osimhen, or if he just flat out picks another club and doesn't want to come to Chelsea. But I think that Chelsea have all the cards to look at a player like Osimhen and negotiate with him and really be in pole position to sign the player. So I don't agree with this narrative that we can't sign Victor Osimhen. I think we absolutely can and should, but I don't think we will because of the wage caps. Also, a little update on Dean Hodgson as well, the Bournemouth centre-back. We've had a report coming out from a Spanish source called Revelo, saying at least 4 clubs have already announced their willingness to pay Dean Hodgson's £58 million buyout clause. Chelsea, Liverpool, Tottenham, and Manchester United. So when we look at a player like Hodgson, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Let me know in the chat. Do you see Chelsea beating the likes of Liverpool, Tottenham, and United for this player? What do we offer that they don't? I think Liverpool is number one option. Premier League winners, top club. The opportunity to play with some really top players. You've got Van Dijk. You've got players like Mo Salah. You can be learning from one of the best centre-backs in Premier League history with Van Dijk. Tottenham, don't really see what they offer that Chelsea can't, so I think that's an easy win. United will offer more money. So Chelsea, the only thing I see Chelsea offering in this is game time and guaranteed game time. Apart from that, it's very difficult to look at a player like Hodgson and say, we've got all of these perks. Where else can you get them? Because actually, everything that Chelsea can offer, other teams are actually able to offer the equivalent, if not more, if you're a Champions League side. And it's the same with Victor Gyökeres as well, who's interested in going to Arsenal or Liverpool over Chelsea. Do you blame the guy? Why would you want to come to Chelsea, the state we're in at the moment? We don't have pull with our management. We don't have pull financially. We don't have Champions League football. So the footballing project doesn't look that great. So that's where we are on that front. Listen, guys, let me know what you think about everything I've said. Do you believe that we can get anything out of the Fulham game? Me personally, I think the point is as good as it's going to get. I'm trying to be level-headed when I say that. Do you agree with the approach from Maresca as well? Do you think he needs to change something? If so, what does he need to change? And let me know as well your thoughts on the transfer saga for Victor Osimhen, Liam Delap, Dean Hodgson from Bournemouth, and also Victor Gorkarez. All the best, guys, and we will catch up very soon. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and wish Chelsea luck against Fulham.